What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome back for some more Fire Emblem Heroes. So in this video I'm going to be discussing the upcoming update which is going to be happening in October. And this update is pretty huge for Resonant Battles. And I'm also going to be talking about the limited Ephemera Units that we're getting and the upcoming weapon refines. So going to be discussing all of that. And let me know in the comment section your opinion about this update. Let's have a chill discussion. So the first thing which I saw was that the limited attempts which were in Resonant Battles are going to be removed. So we can play this game mode infinitely. You can have infinite amount of tries. And they're also going to be, nerfing down the inflation of the Guardian units and units in general, Now, this is actually a pretty good thing because a lot of people really hate this mode. I do make free-to-play guides for this game mode, but I'm not the biggest fan of this game mode. At first, it was really fun. I took it as a puzzle, basically. But the inflation is really tough. And I guess I just use free-to-play units, so that adds like another layer of difficulty. And I'm trying to use like lowest amounts of skill inheritance. So personally, was not a big fan of this game mode. And most people are not. So this is a pretty good news for a lot of people as they can have infinite amount of tries and the inflation is going to be toned down a bit. So that is going to allow for more fun experience. Now that's not the only perspective because I think few people are definitely not going to be happy with this kind of change because they kind of, use this kind of game mode as an endgame content. So the endgame content is going to have its difficulty reduced. And also the fact that now that we have infinite attempts, more people are going to be competing for the ranks. So what this is going to do is it's going to increase the value of harmonic heroes and essentially the merges on those harmonic heroes because they are going to be required even more now to go up the ranks as more people are going to be able to get the max score. Because previously you had the limited attempts. If you didn't kill all of the thieves and times, then you wouldn't be getting the max score unless you used like a free-to-play guide or something. So not everyone was able to kill all of the thieves in those limited 9 attempts, but now that we have infinite attempts, you could, spend the week of the time and easily figure out a way to kill all of the thieves and basically get the max score. So essentially it might make it a bit tough for players who do care about ranks and going up the intervals in this game mode or staying at the top interval because they will need to have merges on these harmonized heroes basically to kind of meet the score check essentially. So that's another perspective, but the thing is that Intelligent Systems doesn't really care about all of that. They are basically trying to have more people play the game for a longer time, and they do have statistics most likely, and they can see how many people actually play Resonant Battles, and the percentage I think is probably really small, and now they are probably hoping that more people can play it and basically play the game for longer, because the longer you play it, the more there are chances of you spending orbs or even money on orbs, essentially, for getting some new units or harmonized heroes or anything like that. So that just opens up for that. Even in a game mode like Aether Raids, which is supposed to be competitive, time and time again they have been making things convenient, like having double ether consumption. So, if you don't use any kind of ladders, you just need to play 8 matches compared to the previous times where we could only use 50 ether. And they have also given us extra escape ladders and the auto dispatch feature, which is a pretty nice convenient thing for many players. So I think they only do this to increase the player engagement because the revenue in this game has been declining every year and so is the player interest. So it's kind of in their best interest to make game modes more welcoming for majority of the players. So that is going to be a thing, but time will tell us how, it is going to be in Resonant Battles for the higher ranks, I guess. And I think the nerfing of the inflated stats is only going to be by 2-3 stat points, I think, because back then when they said that they're going to be increasing the stats of abyssal enemies, it was only by 2-3 stat points. Now, of course, that is going to be significant in something like thieves, because we do need to kill each and every one of them, so that could make it easier for us to double them essentially. I personally think that reducing the inflation is good because the inflation in interval 20 and 21 is absolutely ridiculous. Like every enemy has over 90 attack, over 40 bulk in both stats. It's like not even the character I know. Like since when does Lysithea have 40 defense? It's not even the character anymore. It might just be some kind of husk of a character with just the face of the characters which we know and like. So the inflation reduction I think is pretty good because sometimes it can get really ridiculous because you'll just get one shot despite your weapon strangle advantage, and taking them out at times with that ridiculous bulk and attack is really annoying at times. Now I do get the point of the Guardians. It's basically so that you avoid them necessarily and go after the thieves. But in pretty much every map, we are forced to take on at least one Guardian to get to the thieves in time before they escape. So you have to attack the Guardians at times so that you can reach the exit point and stop the thieves basically. And in those times, it can be really annoying, and that's when you really feel the inflation, I feel like. But honestly, I'm really happy about this Resonant Battles change, and now I guess more players can experiment with it, which is really nice. And now we move on to the limited ephemera pool for next month, and it's a really good one. So the first thing that we have is Halloween Niles. So you just got Devilish Bow, which is basically a bow equivalent of like Guard Axe or Hack-O Lantern essentially. So it has permanent guard effect, and that is good for defensive builds, but you know, Spendthrift Bow is just much better overall for that kind of thing. So it's not really the best bow to inherit, but he does have Attack Speed Link 3, which is still a 5-star exclusive skill, and none of the Grail units have it. Other Link skills are present on the Grail units, but not Attack Speed Link. So this is really good to inherit it on any kind of Shove or Smite bot, and this could be really nice in Aether Raids as well. So it's nice to see that a rare skill is easily available like that. And if nothing else, it's at least like a free Swiss Sparrow 2. So Swiss Sparrow 2 is locked to 5-star Nasala, so you would have to spend feathers for that. But if you just want to have it, then you know, Halloween Niles can provide that. The next thing that we have is Halloween Jacob. Now the best thing about him is probably his monstrous bow when it comes to fodder. So it has got Panic Smoke built into it, and this is really significant for Aether Raids defense, where everyone and their mom uses visible buffs on offense. And you guys might remember my monstrous bow Rolf actually, which I used to use in my old defense team. So it's mainly useful there, but outside of that, he doesn't really have anything for fodder. So you could probably skip on him if you don't really care about the Aether Raids defense aspect of monstrous bow, because Bracing Blow 2 and Weary Fighter are not really all that good to spend the ephemera for him. And we do have better units like Hinata, for example, who have Fury 3, and you should absolutely get Hinata. There's no reason you should not get him. Fury is amazing skill for slot A, so everyone should just get him, honestly. Mordecai has got Smite and Attack Defense Link 2. So unfortunately, we'll have to spend 20,000 feathers if you want to get the version 3 of this skill, but still nonetheless, it's nice to have him. And Gunter also provides Hone Cavalry, which is pretty nice if you use a lot of cavalry units and you don't really get him too much. But other than that, he doesn't really have too much. Tanya is also pretty underwhelming because Shining Bow isn't really that good of a bow really. It provides you true damage based on the fact that how much the differential is between the foe's defense and resistance stat. So I feel like there are better offensive bows than this. She also has Spur Speed Dress 2, which is not the greatest, but it's decent, I guess. And finally, we have Kagero. So she only has Dagger Breaker 3 as a really good fodder, I guess. Again, this could be used in like Aether Raids defense in the dark defense teams, I guess, because air is gonna be super common. So I have seen some dark defense teams use that. But other than that, Dagger Breaker usually never sees like a lot of usage because there are not really too many dagger units that we face that often compared to the other offensive threats. So this kind of ephemera pool is pretty good actually because we get Attack Speed Link and also we get Hinata. Those are the two main spotlights out of this pool. So you should definitely try to get both of them. And you know, if you want some other skills, then the other ephemera units are also pretty decent. Then we move on to the weapon refinery part. And finally, Effie has got a weapon refine. I do have a plus on Effie. I'm pretty happy about this, and it's just gonna be a bit difficult for Effie now that we have got Brave Hector with his malted weapon refine, which is absolutely ridiculous. So they better give Effie something a bit more unique. I think that she's gonna be having some kind of offensive weapon refine because her attack stat is still pretty high, and Gwendolyn and Sheena got like defensive weapon refine, so I'm thinking she might get something like a preferred Brave Lance maybe. That would be pretty nice. And then we have got Arvis. So I feel like Arvis and Saias are going to be sharing the same weapon refine, kind of like male and female Robin. I was pretty happy to see that more than 4 units are getting weapon refines this time, but I think it just might be 4 units again because Saias and Arvis are counted as 1, and so are Seliph and Sigurd. So at the end of the day, we're still getting only 4 weapon refines, I think. So Arvis and Saias definitely need a lot of help. Both of their tomes are pretty similar for the debuffs. I think this refine might be similar to Weirding tome that Loot had. So we'll have to see. Arvis does have a exclusive skill in Recovery Ring, so maybe it might have synergy with that. But then again, I think these two are going to be sharing the same weapon refine, so I'm not really too sure. Then we have got Sigurd with his Divine Tearfang. I also do have a +10 Seliph, so I'm really happy about this, and I was looking forward to this actually. So this does give you 50% damage reduction against the first hit of a magical foe. I hope this could just be like a universal damage reduction, not just against a magical foe, but against any kind of foe. The first hit reduces 50% damage, and maybe some kind of extra additional effect. I'm not too sure if they're gonna be going the Arvan route to make this a really strong damage reduction weapon. Crusader's War does give more damage reduction to Sigurd, but Seliph doesn't really have that, so Divine Tearfang, if it happens to have like Irvan type of damage reduction, that level of insanity, then Seliph is gonna be having a field day because he's a 3-star, 4-star unit. And then at last we have got the unit which I sometimes forget is even in the game, Rhajat. She's a 5-star locked unit. She's got Keen Drawn Wolf, so I think her preferred weapon is also going to be having like the cavalry effectiveness. Her weapon's name is Obsessive Curse, which she's going to be getting. So maybe this will have something to do with debuffs or something like that because it's a curse. I'm not really too sure. Might be somewhat similar to maybe Tharja's Hex even, I guess, with that kind of effect with in-combat debuffs. So I'm really looking forward to Effie and Divine Tearfang weapon refine. And Arvis and Saias, it's been a long time. Arvis definitely needs some help. So really happy about this update. And then we have Aether Raids changes. So this is again a really good change, and it is going to be making it easier for newer players in Aether Raids. So our offensive 4 pretty much doesn't matter at this point, which is really nice for newer players who don't really have a lot of heavenly dues. And here they just tell you the impact of fortress levels. We already knew this, and this was already a thing before the lower tier fortress level tuning. But in general, this is a really good thing. And then Dark Shrine is going to be upgradable to level 7. So if you're a tank and you're not Brunya, Brave Hector, or any of those units who can ignore penalties, then this is going to be a bit annoying for you. So you could definitely invest into a support unit who can soak the chills for you. Mela actually in the light season is pretty nice for soaking the Dark Shrine debuffs. Mela Strike also has one of the structures which can be upgraded to level 4. I believe this fountain basically allowed you to push the enemy like 2 spaces away if they were in certain threshold HP, I believe. So it is just going to be increasing the area and effect of that structure, I believe. We're going to be getting Daros and George in the Grail Pool. And then we have this other visual change, I guess. So stat buffs and debuffs are going to be shown on the combat forecast, which is really good actually. It's quite convenient. But they could have implemented this kind of UI a bit better because this looks really rough. It doesn't really look all that good to me personally. But still, for what it's worth, it is going to be helpful. And portrait display on the tall screens is going to be a toggle type of thing where you could turn it off if you don't like it. I personally like it a lot whenever I play Fae on my phone. Definitely helps quite a bit. So that is the update this time around. Also, one thing to note is that Resonant Battles in like next to next week is going to be starting from October 8th instead of 6th October, where the other Colosseum modes are going to get unlocked, which is basically Tuesday. So we're going to be having less time for next to next week's Resonant Battles, but shouldn't be that big of an issue because there are unlimited tries. So that is going to be pretty nice. So that is going to be my thoughts. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I want to thank all of my 2 members for their constant support, and if you enjoyed, then please be sure to leave a like and a comment. Helps me tremendously, and be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because YouTube sub boxes are about as functional as the number of new songs that got added for the next month's update. So with that said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.